You find out your favorite artist is coming to town. Thousands of people rush online trying to get the same ticket. By the time you finally reach the front of the queue, the exact same seats now cost 5, even 10 times more than the original price. Pay the inflated price, or miss the show entirely. This is Ticketmaster, the company that dominates live entertainment ticketing in America, a company that turned concerts into bidding wars. And if the official prices weren't bad enough, resellers, known as scalpers, pushed them even higher. But this didn't happen overnight. In the 1990s, one of the biggest bands in the world took Ticketmaster to court. They tried to stop what the company was becoming. They failed. Today, Ticketmaster doesn't just sell tickets, it controls the system behind them. The company drowning every ticket in hidden fees began as the solution to the biggest problem in live entertainment. So how did a company built to fix ticketing become the most hated name in concerts? This is the story of how one company quietly took control of live entertainment in America, and what happened when someone finally tried to stop them. Before Ticketmaster existed, buying concert tickets was chaos. You showed up in person, you waited in line for hours, or you called a phone number and hoped somebody answered before the show sold out. And if the concert was popular, you were probably too late. When Ticketmaster launched in 1976, it genuinely solved a massive problem. One system, one place to buy tickets. No more waiting in line for hours. No more hoping the show wasn't already sold out. Ticketmaster handled everything. And for a while, people loved it. But in 1982, a man named Fred Rosen became CEO, and Fred Rosen saw Ticketmaster differently. Years later, he would openly admit, "I was running the evil empire. I was running a business." And he meant it. Ticketmaster started buying competitors. If they refused to sell, Ticketmaster squeezed them out instead. One by one, rivals disappeared. By 1991, the company's last major competitor was gone. And once Ticketmaster controlled the market, the fees started climbing. Here's how a Ticketmaster ticket actually works. You see a price. Let's say it's $100. That's the base price. The price set by the artist or the venue. Then the fees begin. First, the service fee. Ticketmaster's cut for processing the transaction. Usually another 10 to 20% on top. Then comes the facility fee, a charge added by the venue itself. Then the order processing fee, a fee for placing the order. Then taxes. By the time you hit confirm, that $100 ticket is suddenly $130, sometimes $140. The Federal Trade Commission documented cases where fees reached 44% of the original ticket price. Between 2019 and 2024, American fans paid an estimated $16.4 billion in mandatory ticketing fees. Not tickets, fees. But here's the part almost nobody realizes. Ticketmaster doesn't keep most of that money. Roughly 2/3 of every service fee goes straight back to the venue, which raises a question. If venues are getting most of the money, why are the fees so high? Because Ticketmaster used those fees to lock venues into exclusive contracts. Before a single ticket was sold, venues were paid huge guaranteed advances to work exclusively with Ticketmaster. The higher the fees, the bigger the payout. The fees weren't just about profit. They were the system that kept Ticketmaster untouchable. You weren't just paying for a ticket. You were paying for the trap itself. By the early 1990s, artists were starting to notice something. Their fans were paying more and more in fees, and the bands themselves had almost no control over it. In 1994, one band finally decided to fight back: Pearl Jam. At the time, they were one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Their lead singer, Eddie Vedder, went to Ticketmaster with a simple demand: cap the service fee at $1.80. On an $18 ticket, that was 10%. Ticketmaster refused. They wanted between $4 and $8 per ticket instead. So Pearl Jam walked away. They announced they would sell tickets directly to fans without using Ticketmaster at all. Ticketmaster responded immediately. First came the legal threats. Then came something far more powerful. Ticketmaster contacted major venues across America. Most of them already had exclusive contracts. The message was clear. If Pearl Jam plays your venue without Ticketmaster, you may lose access to every other major tour. Suddenly, Pearl Jam couldn't book arenas. Venue after venue turned them away. Their tour collapsed before it even began. So Pearl Jam took the fight to Washington. Eddie Vedder testified before the United States Congress and asked a simple question. Are we entitled to use a different company other than Ticketmaster? The answer? No. The Department of Justice opened an investigation, then quietly dropped it. Nothing changed. Eventually, Pearl Jam returned to Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster returned to business as usual, because by then, the company had already become too powerful to challenge. You've probably experienced this yourself. Tickets go on sale. You're ready. You're online early. You sit in the queue watching the countdown hit 0, and within seconds, everything is gone. Then you check resale. The same $100 ticket is now $400, maybe more. This is scalping. People buy tickets the instant they go on sale, then relist them at a high price. And today, they don't even need people to do it. They use bots. Automated software capable of buying thousands of tickets in seconds. Faster than any human being possibly could. Fans never had a chance. The most famous example came in 2022 during Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. An estimated 3.5 billion requests hit Ticketmaster systems. The website collapsed. Millions of fans were locked out completely. Meanwhile, tickets appeared on resale sites for thousands of dollars. For some Americans, it was literally cheaper to fly to Europe and buy tickets there than attend a show at home. Ticketmaster insisted they were fighting the problem. They said they had anti-bot protections. They said Verified Fan was designed to stop scalpers. They said they were protecting real fans. That wasn't entirely true. And one man proved it. In 2013, the Canadian broadcaster CBC went undercover. Reporters attended a ticketing industry conference where Ticketmaster executives were speaking directly to ticket brokers. Ticketmaster was not trying to stop scalpers. They were working with them. Executives openly acknowledged that brokers were using hundreds of fake accounts to buy hundreds of tickets. Ticketmaster did nothing, because every time a scalper resold a ticket through Ticketmaster's platform, the company collected another round of fees. They got paid the first time you bought the ticket. Then they got paid again when the ticket was flipped for profit. Ticketmaster wasn't losing to scalpers. They were profiting alongside them. But behind the scenes, executives were saying things they never expected the public to read. In March 2026, a series of private messages became public during a major court case. Internal Slack messages sent between Ticketmaster executives. One of the messages came from Ben Baker, head of ticketing at Live Nation venues. Referring to fans, he wrote, "These people are so stupid. I almost feel bad taking advantage of them." In another message, "Robbing them blind, baby." The same messages discussed parking prices at concerts. $50 to park in the grass, $60 for closer grass, $100 for oversized vehicles, $250 for VIP parking. When asked about the messages in court, Baker called them immature. He claimed he was simply shocked people were willing to pay that much. That was his defense. But the trial revealed something else. Live Nation controlled roughly 86% of major venue ticketing in America. It managed the artists. It owned the venues. It promoted the tours. And it sold the tickets. Every part of the system. One company. Then came the verdict. On April 15, 2026, the jury delivered its decision. Guilty on every count. The states want Ticketmaster broken up entirely. Live Nation says it will appeal. 6 days after the verdict, the company filed a motion to erase the damages claim. At the same time, it reported $25 billion in annual revenue and continued buying more venues. After decades of investigations, congressional hearings, a Pearl Jam tour collapse, millions of Taylor Swift fans locked out of tickets, and executives privately joking about robbing fans blind, the judge still hasn't ruled on the punishment. The system is still standing. Ticketmaster is still selling tickets. The venues are still locked in, and millions of fans still have no real alternative. Will the monopoly finally collapse? Or will this become just another scandal Ticketmaster survives? Every empire has a story. Subscribe to hear the next one.